You know, with my character in the Musketeers, and with my character in this play, for example, the two things that I would say they share, just taking those two characters, is that they both have the spirit of a lion heart, you know? Um, there's a primal quality there. Essentially, the work is exactly the same. Know what you're saying, mean it, be truthful, be integral, know what you're doing, know who you are, play, suspend your disbelief, suspend their disbelief, etc. But it's just the arena that changes, you know. The rules are the same, you just have to use different muscles to tell the story, you know. When there's a camera, there's a certain way of telling a story. When there's an audience, sort of almost 360, there's another way of telling that story, but you're still trying to tell a story. It's not as difficult or I don't find it as difficult to kind of shift between the two. It's just kind of setting your mind to that medium, if you like, well, your mind, body, and spirit, really. It's just a different type of expression, but it's all expression, you know. I like theatre. I find it slightly more exposing, and I like that. I like the fact it kind of separates the wheat from the chaff, you know. If you haven't done the work, you will get found out, no doubt about it. There's no cutting and going again. So I love that element of electricity, you know, being in the same room as the people you're telling the story to. Whereas sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I love screen, in some cases more, because there's a bit more of a penetrating element to kind of storytelling, you know. But and you can afford to be slightly more subtle at points, and so yeah, I love them both for very different reasons. But you know, I'm a storyteller, so I would, you know. My favorite element is that I'm a fire starter. That's very much how I see myself in this play, as someone who is, yes, there's a mischievous element there, of course, but it's about truth. The person who absolutely always will give you the truth. How many people can you say in your lives, in your circle, really do that now? The absolute truth, even when you might not want to hear it, the absolute truth. And the great thing about my character is that I start off as someone who wants the truth, always, no matter what. But as I travel through the play and through these different environments and these different arguments that are taking place between this, monarch and that monarch, I realize how important the truth really is, and that it's priceless, and that you cannot sell out when it comes to truth, which is what every other person in the play at some point or other does. And incidentally, that brings us to why the play is important for an audience now, because we live in a world which is filled, really, and we're surrounded by instantaneous self-gain, and that couples with mediocrity, and making sure that, oh, I want this, and it doesn't matter what the cost is, and do that, do this, like I want this follower, that follower, all this kind of stuff, as opposed to just what's the truth. This play very much is about the relationship, the connection, or the lack thereof of a positive one, between politics and truth, and the cost of untruth, and the inevitable consequence of deceit. And that all might sound very heavy, but it's a very good story, and it's not a bad way to spend 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds or whatever it is to come and see this play. We're 15 minutes from London on the train. We've got a great theatre, a great company, and again, I don't judge anyone who does this, but if it's between seeing this play, perhaps being changed, perhaps gaining something, being enlightened by something, and then going forth in your own life in a positive manner, having learnt something, having grown in the space of 3 hours, if it's between that and buying another packet of cigarettes, or, I don't know, drinking, or doing this, or doing 1,000 things that you've done before, I would say choose enlightenment.